My name is Maya Sinclair. I'm 32, and I live in a sunlit condo in San Diego's North Park, where palm trees sway outside our balcony, and the air smells like ocean and ambition. I'm a brand manager for a skincare startup riding the wave of clean beauty and Instagram aesthetics. My husband Anthony is 35, a guidance counselor at a local high school. He's not the guy who chases trends or headlines. He's the one who irons my blouses before big pitches, refills my gas tank without a word, and listens to my rants about work with a quiet, steady presence. For years, he's been the backbone of our life, carrying the weight, so I could chase my dreams. But somewhere along the way, I started to see his constancy as a cage. It started when I landed a major campaign for a celebrity-backed skincare line. Suddenly, I was jetting to LA for launch parties, sipping espresso martinis at rooftop bars, and fielding emails from influencers who treated me like their new best friend. My salary outpaced Anthony's, and my social feeds filled with likes and gift bags. I felt like I'd finally arrived in the glossy world I'd once only scrolled through. But with every win, I expected Anthony to match my energy, to cheer louder, to mirror my high. He didn't. He stayed the same supportive, grounded content, and I began to resent him for it. The crack in our marriage appeared over something so small it's almost laughable, a $1, $200 leather tote I bought to celebrate closing a new contract. I came home buzzing, the bag slung over my shoulder like a trophy. Anthony was at the kitchen counter grading student essays, his glasses slipping down his nose. He glanced at the bag, then the receipt that had slipped onto the counter, and raised an eyebrow. "Babe, how much was this?" he asked, his tone gentle, curious. I rolled my eyes, tossing my hair. "Don't worry, I paid for it with my money." The air shifted. His eyes flickered, not with anger, but with something deeper hurt. "Your money," he said, his voice low. "Since when is it yours and not ours?" I could have stopped there. I could have apologized, laughed it off, said it was just a figure of speech. But I was riding the high of my success, and something bitter had been simmering for months. I smirked, my words sharp and deliberate. "Well, maybe if you made what Jordan makes, I wouldn't have to pay for anything." Jordan, my ex, a tech entrepreneur who'd built a startup into a multi-million-dollar exit before we broke up. The man Anthony never mentioned, not because he was jealous, but because he didn't need to compete. Until I made him. The kitchen went still. Anthony's face didn't change, but his eyes, those warm, steady eyes, clouded with a pain I hadn't seen before. "Wow," he whispered the word heavy with disbelief. He didn't yell, didn't snap back. He just looked at me for a long, unbearable moment, then turned and walked down the hallway. I thought he was being dramatic, overreacting to a throwaway line. So I poured a glass of rosé flipped on Netflix and waited for him to cool off, like he always did. Hours later, I found him in our bedroom folding clothes into a suitcase, with a calm that chilled me. "You're not seriously leaving over a bag, right?" I said, forcing a laugh. He didn't look up, his hands steady as he packed a stack of t-shirts. "This isn't about the bag, Maya, or Jordan. It's about how little you see me, and how long I've been pretending that didn't hurt." His words landed like a punch. I crossed my arms, defensive, my voice rising. "So, now, you're the victim. Because I bought something nice. Grow up, Anthony." He zipped the suitcase, his jaw tight, but his tone even. "No. I'm leaving because I've been holding us together while you act like I'm holding you back. I'm done." He slung the bag over his shoulder and walked out the front door, closing with a soft click. No shouting, no ultimatums, just a silence that echoed louder than any fight we'd ever had. The next morning, I woke to an empty bed, the sheets untouched on Anthony's side. The condo, usually alive with his morning rituals, coffee brewing, NPR humming, felt like a stranger's house. I texted him, expecting a quick reply about needing to cool off. "Hey, can we talk?" I didn't mean it. Nothing. By noon, I called, but it went to voicemail. Then came a text from his sister, Brielle. "He's staying here. Needs space. Please don't come by." Brielle's words hit like ice water. Anthony wasn't bluffing. He was gone, and his family, people who'd once welcomed me with open arms, were drawing a line. For the first time, I realized this wasn't a fight we'd laugh off over breakfast. This was real. Work became my distraction, but it was a battlefield. My startup was in crunch mode, rolling out a new product line with a major influencer collab. My boss Claire was relentless, demanding game-changing content while micromanaging every post. When a key influencer backed out over a contract dispute, Claire called me out in a team meeting. Maya, you're slipping. Fix this or we'll find someone who can. My team especially, my assistant Leo rallied, but I was unraveling, snapping at Leo for small errors, like a misaligned graphic. He took it quietly, but I saw the strain in his eyes and it only deepened my guilt. I vented to my coworker Nadine over lunch at a gas lamp quarter cafe, trying to play it cool. Anthony's being so dramatic, I said, stabbing at my kale salad. It was one comment. He'll get over it. Nadine, who usually humored my rants, gave me a long look. Maya, you compared him to your ex, in front of him. You sure you didn't push too far this time? I laughed it off, but her words gnawed at me. I'd spent months, maybe years, making Anthony feel small, little digs about his safe job eye rolls when he talked about his students, sighs when he didn't match my energy for my latest work win. I thought I was being ambitious, but I was building a wall between us, brick by brick. By the third day of silence, I was spiraling. I texted Anthony again. I'm sorry about the Jordan thing. Can we talk? No response. I called, voicemail. Desperate, I drove to Brielle's house in Encinitas, where Anthony was staying. I sat in my car, heart pounding, debating whether to knock. But the thought of Brielle's stare, or worse, Anthony turning me away, stopped me. I drove home, tears blurring the freeway. That night I checked our joint bank account, half hoping to see some sign of him, a coffee shop charge, anything. Instead, I found a transfer $5,000 moved to a new account in his name. The remaining balance was barely enough for rent. My stomach dropped. He wasn't just taking space, he was planning an exit. I called him, my voice shaking. Why'd you take the money? He answered, his tone flat. Because I'm done investing in a life where I'm not valued, Maya. I said I was sorry, I pleaded, tears streaming down my face. It's not about sorry, he said. It's about you looking at me like I'm not enough. You said I'm not Jordan. But I've been here paying bills, fixing your car, holding you up while you chased your dreams, and you act like I'm the one dragging you down. I opened my mouth to argue, but nothing came out. He was right. I'd been so focused on my glow-up new job, new status, new life, that I'd treated him like a footnote. Is there someone else? I asked, barely a whisper. He paused, then said no. But I'm starting to think I deserve someone who sees me. That line shattered me. I hung up, sobbing into a throw pillow, the weight of my words crashing down. I hadn't just hurt Anthony, I'd broken something fundamental, something I wasn't sure I could fix. Work got worse. The influencer drama escalated when a leaked DM exposed our backup talent, bad-mouthing the brand. Claire was furious, and I spent nights rewriting statements and begging influencers to stay on board. Leo pulled miracles, securing a last-minute replacement, and we salvaged the launch. Claire gave me a curt, good save, but it felt empty. No promotion, no rooftop party could fill the hole Anthony left. At home, the condo was a mausoleum of our life together. His running shoes were gone. From the entryway, his coffee mugs untouched in the cabinet. I found a note he'd written months ago, tucked in a drawer. Proud of you, Maya. Keep shining. I cried reading it, realizing I'd never once told him how proud I was of him, of the kids he mentored, the lives he changed. Nadine pushed me to try therapy. You're not okay, Maya. You need to figure out why you sabotaged something good. I resisted therapy, felt like admitting I was broken, but I was too tired to argue. I booked a session with Dr. Chen, a therapist in La Jolla, who specialized in high-achieving professionals. It was like peeling back layers of armor I didn't know I'd built, and it hurt, but it was a start. Weeks later, Anthony came by to collect the last of his things. I'd asked him to come when I wasn't home, but I couldn't stay away. I stood in the doorway, wearing the blouse he'd always loved, my hair brushed my heart and my throat. He moved through the condo with quiet purpose, packing books, a framed photo from our trip to Joshua Tree. I tried to keep it together, but my voice betrayed me. Anthony, please, don't do this. He paused his hand on a suitcase, his eyes softer than I expected, but heavy with resolve. Maya, I've been doing this for years, holding us together while you chase something else. This is the first time I'm doing it for me. You think I don't love you? I asked, stepping closer. Tears falling. He looked at me, his voice steady but sad. I think you love the idea of us, the safety, the support. But you don't see me. You see a version of me that doesn't measure up to your ex, your goals, your life. I can't keep living like that. I'll change, I whispered. I swear. He shook his head almost kindly. Change doesn't come when someone leaves. It comes when you realize you've been wrong. You're not there yet, Maya, and I can't wait for you to figure it out. He walked out the door, closing softly behind him. The silence that followed was haunted by every time he'd shown up for me, every sacrifice I'd dismissed, every moment I'd chosen, ambition over appreciation. Months later, the divorce papers arrived, a clinical end to a love I'd taken for granted. Anthony didn't fight me on assets or alimony, just asked for a clean break. I saw him once by chance at a coffee shop in Little Italy. He was alone reading a book, looking lighter. Not like a man who'd moved on quickly, but like someone who'd finally set down a weight. I didn't approach. What could I say? That I missed him? That I still kept his note in my nightstand? He didn't owe me that space anymore. The financial strain hit hard. Without Anthony's income, I downsized to a smaller apartment, selling off designer pieces I'd once flaunted. My friends, Nadine included, stayed supportive, but distant, unsure how to navigate my self-inflicted wreckage. Gossip swirled. Maya threw away a good man. I couldn't argue. Therapy with Dr. Chen forced me to face the truth. I'd been chasing validation through my career, my social feeds, my idea of success, and I'd let it drown out Anthony's love. I'd mistaken his steadiness for stagnation, his support for weakness. I'd wanted a life that looked good online, not one that felt good in my heart. I started volunteering at a local youth center, helping teens with college essays the way Anthony used to. It didn't erase the pain, but it gave me purpose. Nadine noticed the change. You're softer, she said over coffee one day. Like you're finally seeing yourself. I didn't feel soft. I felt like I was rebuilding from the ground up. Maya and Anthony's story is a wake-up call for anyone who's ever let ambition overshadow love. In a world that glorifies hustle and highlight reels, it's easy to forget that real love isn't flashy, it's steady, quiet, and irreplaceable. Maya's mistake wasn't a single comment. It was years of taking Anthony for granted, measuring him against an impossible standard, and diminishing his worth to feel bigger herself. She thought his love was a given, that he'd never leave. But even the strongest hearts break when they're made to feel invisible. The lesson is clear love isn't about status or success. It's about presence, gratitude, and choosing each other every day. If you're with someone who shows up, who supports you, who stays through your storms, don't let pride or distraction turn that into resentment. Ask yourself, do I make them feel valued? Do I see their efforts, or am I too busy chasing more? Because once they're gone, no apology can fill the silence they leave behind. Are you nurturing the love in front of you, or are you comparing it to a fantasy that doesn't exist? Don't wait until the door closes to realize what you could have saved.